everyone. My name is John Bristow. I'm the Community Director of Octopus Deploy. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar featuring Codefresh GitOps Cloud. This is a webinar featuring one of the members of the team here who helped build this product, Idan. But before I turn things over to him, just like to highlight a few things here before we get started. First and foremost, you are in the right place. This is a webinar featuring Codefresh GitOps Cloud. If you want to find out more information about this, you can visit our website at codefresh.io. There you'll see a page that looks like this. So make this a bookmark, if not your homepage. We'd love to have you sign up for a free trial. There you'll find all the information that we'll be presenting here in today's webinar, highlights of the product itself, etc. So again, that's available at codefresh.io. In addition to that, we also have a blog post that highlights the features of this product that we'll be talking about here. This is a blog post by Costas entitled Introducing Codefresh GitOps Cloud, Seamless Environment Promotions Across Clusters Using Your Existing Argo CD. So I wanted to put those two resources on the table before we explain anything else, just so you have them and you can walk away with resources you can check out afterwards. But regardless, we are here to talk about Codefresh GitOps Cloud, and I have one of the members of the team here, Idan, who is joining me to talk about this. Welcome, Idan. Why don't you let the folks know a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, John. Excited to be here. Just came back from KubeCon London, which was amazing, and we demoed this for hundreds of people, if not more. I lost count. But I'm Idan Albert. I'm a Principal Product Manager at Octopus. We've been working on Codefresh GitOps for the past 4 or 5 years now, and we're excited about it. This is kind of the latest incarnation. We've adjusted the offering, adjusted the prices, and we're super excited. And I'm going to show you what we can do and how we can deploy across environments using your Argo CD. Excited to show it up.
Awesome. Fantastic. So again, if you want to check out the details for this, you can visit our website at codefresh.io. I will remind folks that this is a live webinar. We are taking questions live from you. So if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to share with us, let us know. We've got folks from apparently Arizona. There's Laurent. We've got folks sharing their wonderful emojis here, which is great to see. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions for Idan. If you have any concerns or comments or feedback or questions, let us know. Happy to take them as we do the webinar here. We got folks from Massachusetts, which is awesome. Okay, cool. So Idan, I want to kick things off by asking, okay, so why Codefresh GitOps? What are we introducing here essentially, and then what was the motivation behind doing this?
Okay, so we've been talking about GitOps for a while now. Just kind of background, and you've heard Codefresh, Octopus. Let's align the pieces here a bit more. So Codefresh, is a company that we've existed for the past 9 years. We started we have our CI offering, and we started working and integrating and building a platform on top of Argo CD. We were recently acquired by the amazing people in Octopus Deploy, I think 1 year ago, almost to the date, I don't know. And that's why we have this split personality between Codefresh Octopus. But we're talking about the Codefresh product, which is our GitOps offering. Now, we fell in love with Argo CD, I think 5 years ago. We stumbled onto Argo CD. We saw the momentum. Our platform team and infrastructure team were starting to deploy with Argo CD, and we saw, hey, this is the future. We need to build on this. But what we saw and what we started to do with Argo CD and where we saw the gaps essentially is that Argo CD wasn't really built for software delivery. We enjoy deploying our infrastructure, and because of that, we started moving and deploying, hey, let's deploy all our apps with Argo CD. But essentially, that's where we started to see a few roadblocks with and things that weren't built for that. And as a product manager, that's where we see opportunity, and that's where we see something that we can improve and build and build a platform on. And that's where we are now. So the Codefresh GitOps Cloud is essentially that offering. It's built on Argo CD. If you love Argo CD and if you're deploying software with Argo CD, you need to be using Codefresh right now. And if you're not convinced just now, you'll be convinced by the end of the demo that we're doing. Or your money back. Just kidding. I'll talk about this later. But essentially, yeah, so we wanted to solve software delivery, and one of the main pains is promoting across environment and the developer experience with using Codefresh and using Argo CD, and that's what I'm going to show you again. We're also going to talk a bit about scaling Argo CD and the various methods you can to scale Argo CD and how we help that and solve the pains that come along with scaling and essentially managing multiple Argo CD instances.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So thinking about GitOps Cloud, obviously we have some primary benefits that I would assume we tout all the time. We talked a little bit about this at KubeCon, but what would you summarize as the primary benefits for GitOps Cloud itself?
So with no specific order, scaling Argo CD becomes a non-issue and seamless. Deploying as many Argo CD instances as you can. We have a single pane of glass to manage all those Argo CDs, centralized user management, permission management, everything in one place. So that's ticked off. Second thing, modeling and orchestrating the software delivery lifecycle that your organization needs. And no two organizations deploy software the same. Each one have different requirements. Some of us have to open a ServiceNow change request. Others need to open a Jira ticket. Some do it manually, some do it automatic, the CD, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. Our platform allows you to model this in a Kubernetes native way, in a GitOps native way, which is amazing. And the third piece is essentially, after we've done this amazing modeling and lifecycle with Argo CD, we need to think about our developers. And how do the developers actually interact with this lifecycle, this deployment pipeline that we have, and how do they understand, did my code reach production? Is everything okay? And if not, how do I fix this? And if you're a platform engineer, and hopefully we don't have too many developers here in this webinar, but our goal is for you guys to not talk to developers, for them to self-serve the platform, and you can focus on what you really care about. So I think those are the three main benefits that we want to address. And again, in a few moments, I'll show you how that looks like.
Actually, let's not leave them waiting anymore. Let's go ahead and jump into a demo. We're eager to see this, so I'll switch over to you.
Amazing. So what you see here is our UI, and you're probably, if you're familiar with Argo CD, and send me a comment, send kind of a +1 if you're already using and deploying with Argo CD. I'll just stop and say that if you're not, a recent survey that we did showed that 50% of clusters are deployed to using Argo CD, which is a staggering number of clusters at this point to have. So Argo CD is just gaining more and more popularity, and so again, that's where the value is. So again, if you are using Argo CD, you're probably familiar with this screen now. What you see here is an Argo CD application, and I'll even recap a bit what we're seeing here. So this Argo CD application, which is managed by the Argo CD that's installed on your cluster, it's a controller. And what it does, essentially, it looks at a source Git repository. So let me, trying to use the share screen. So this is the source Git repository. Let's open this one. I've got here a simple Helm chart. Argo CD monitors this repository and syncs it to our destination cluster, which is, right now, its cluster is called in-cluster, which is the cluster in which Argo CD is installed on. And the namespace is guestbook staging. That's what it does. It takes those resources from Git, from the desired state, deploys them to the cluster, and you get this very, very nice UI, which shows me essentially all the resources that were deployed. And each one of those resources, I have health status on. I can see the actual manifests, any events, if I have any logs. This is available for your developers. You don't need to give them access to kube control anymore. It's very, very cool. If you really wanted, you could allow deleting of resources from here. Of course, everything is managed by RBAC. And depending on your setup, and we recommend setting your application essentially to auto-sync, which means that every change that happens in Git is automatically updated and synced to the cluster. If not, you can manually sync, depends on your workflow. This is what you have today in a, some would say, prettier version than what you have in the open source Argo CD. And we're not replacing your open source. But what we do offer is the ability to have applications and see applications from multiple Argo CDs in one UI. So if I go back to our applications page and actually go to the card view, which is very similar to what you'll see in Argo CD, the major difference that you'll see here, and you're probably going to see it here with where we show the runtime, and we have runtime high and runtime demo. Runtime is an instance of Argo CD that's installed on any of your clusters. And in this view, you actually get to see applications from all your Argo CDs. Now, why do you need more than one Argo CD? Essentially, Argo CD struggles in scale. So once you reach 1,000, 10, 5,000, 3,000 applications, Argo CD needs to be scaled up. And the best way to do that is just install another Argo CD on another cluster. Now, once you start doing that, you're probably going to have a development Argo CD and a production Argo CD, and then you start in production deploying multiple Argo CDs to different clusters. And before you know it, you have one Argo CD per cluster. And we have customers that have 40, 50, 60 Argo CDs, and managing 40 separate instances of Argo CDs is a pain. It's a challenge. And the limitation with the open source right now is that you actually need to view the applications and information in each Argo CD separately. So again, with Codefresh, we now, you have this kind of nice view here, where you can see the 2 runtimes that we have installed and all the managed clusters for them. So we still allow you to use the spoken hub method of connecting multiple clusters to Argo CD, but you can scale it indefinitely, and that's a great value. And that just makes maintaining and scaling Argo CD much, much easier. So to recap what I just showed you, everything you can see, you usually are accustomed to in Argo CD, you have here as well. But with multiple Argo CDs at the same time in one centralized control plane, which makes scaling and managing these instances much, much easier. Anyone have any questions so far? Maybe.
We're getting +1s on the chat there for the previous question that you had asked about managing Argo, which is great. Obviously, the things that I'm taking away from this, obviously, is you get things like multi-environment visibility, so your engineers can easily see what's deployed where. Then there's no more digging through pipelines or things like Slack for threads, like where is this? And you get to see things like, I noticed also that we've added GitHub checks so that you can see the promotion status directly inside your pull request, which is also cool. And that single pane of glass as well is really nice.
Yeah, so I'll show you right now essentially the cool stuff. So this is okay. and if you've been to our webinars in the past, and the Codefresh webinars, or seen our blog post, you've probably seen this. This isn't new. Now we're going to jump into the new exciting things. So as I was saying before, the main pain is, or how did we get here, is we love Argo CD, and we are GitOps fanatics, and we are actually maintainers of Argo CD ourselves, and we are in charge for the most security updates to Argo CD, and we've spearheaded with the Argo community the releases of, I think, the last 2 versions of Argo CD. I might be mistaken, but you'll see this very, very active in the Argo CD Slack and the Argo CD GitHub. So we're in love with Argo CD. But there are some issues. And when you talk about software delivery, that's where Argo CD, we feel, falls short or isn't built for. I wouldn't say falls short. It just wasn't built for this use case. And let's kind of imagine a use case. Your developer, what does your developer want to do? So he's probably saying to himself, hey, I have my membership microservice, and I want to deploy version 1.2 from dev to staging. Argo CD wasn't built for that. Why? Argo CD doesn't know what dev is. It doesn't know what staging is. It actually doesn't know what membership is, and it doesn't know that it's version 1.2. So all of these principles, all of these terminology that we are accustomed to use when talking about software delivery are things that Argo CD wasn't built for and doesn't understand. So let me show you what we did to make that happen. So I'm going to take you to our environments dashboard. And right off the bat, you can see we have a bunch of environments here. So we have dev, QA, staging, production EU, production Asia. And in this environment, you can probably see we have what looks like Argo CD applications. So let's start with the environment. What is an environment? And we wanted to make it very, very customizable and easy and fit any use case, because honestly, an environment can be dev, QA, staging, but some people have multi-regions in environments and tenants in environments, and there are various use cases. And an environment can be a namespace or a cluster or a variety of clusters or anything at all. So that's exactly how we built. So if I'm going to go here and edit this, we can see that our dev environment, which is considered a non-production environment, named it correct, is actually comprised of one namespace in this cluster and another cluster with any namespace in it, and another namespace in the same first cluster. So two namespaces in one cluster, and all the namespaces in another. And that essentially means that all the applications that are deployed to these destinations are considered part of the dev environment. Alternatively, we can also use application labels. So if you want more granular control over what applications go to which environment, just add a label on your Argo CD application, and we work based on that. And that gives us, again, the flexibility to define a variety of methods of shifting and organizing your applications into environments. And by the way, an environment is not, application does not have to be associated with just one environment. So you can have environments called production EU that holds only the applications deployed to the EU region, but you can also have an environment called production, which actually has all the applications from all the regions together. And what is it useful for? I'll show you in a bit. The second thing, and if I'm thinking about all my applications, so I sorted them vertically into environments, but I still have a bunch of applications which they are different microservices. So what is this thing? What is this entity that we have an instance of in dev, QA, staging? What do we call this thing? Now, obviously, it's three separate applications. In Codefresh, it's what we call a product. And a product can be a microservice. It can be an umbrella chart with multiple services. It can be whatever you want. But this is this entity that is deployed to 3, 4, 5, 7 different environments. But they're all connected to one another, and they actually represent the same piece of software in different versions. Again, with Argo CD, and if you see here, you have here our Trio microservice. It's actually called Trio App Dev, and in QA, it's called Trio App QA, and in staging, it's called Trio App Staging. And if I were to show you all the other environments, you'd probably assume that we have the same naming convention there. But in this dashboard and in the product and in Codefresh, we actually call them Trio, and it's essentially a product, and that's it. And we can manage all the configuration and everything together with these products. Now, the last thing that I talked about in my kind of developer use case was the version, because once I have a representation of my microservice in two different environments, how do I tell them apart? How do I know the difference between them? The easiest way to do that is using a version. And that's another thing that we added here to our dashboard to make it easy to understand what's going on. So I can compare that membership in dev is version 1.27.13 and in QA is 127.6. Now, if you are decided to use Helm and umbrella charts, we actually have a very nice small feature here. And I'll go to our Trio product, which actually is built from 3 microservices. And if I click on this, I actually see the dependencies of my charts. So you can see here the chart.yaml. So we have 3 different dependencies, bus log controller and Flask UI with their versions. In the table, we can see them. Now that's nice. What about comparing different environments? So I can actually go and want to get a view of the different dependencies across any environment that I define. Now, why is this important? This makes it easy to understand when something doesn't work well. A developer tells me, it works in dev, it doesn't work in QA. Did you check the dependencies? Yes, no. Now, unfortunately for our nice demo here, we just run a promotion, so all the versions are the same. But if there were any differences, we would highlight them out, and you wouldn't have to manually compare each cell in the table. So this is nice, and I'll show you in a second how we get this version information, because we know that every single one of us probably has a different concept of what is the version for our product. It might be the chart version, it might be the app version, it might be an image tag, it might be just a random attribute that I put somewhere in a customized overlay. So I'll show you how we configure that. we talked about this dashboard. Now, everything so far has been static, but what about promotion? What about the exciting parts? So I'm going to show something, and I want you to comment if you think this is a great idea, the best feature ever, or a terrible, terrible idea, and we should have never done this. And what I'm going to show you is actually how we do promotion, or how one way to do promotion. And that's with, so we'll take the membership from QA and drag it over to our production Asia, no, actually production US environment. So drag and drop promotion. Good idea, bad idea, let us know. But what's actually happening behind the scenes here? And this takes a few moments, apologies. We're comparing the two applications in both environments. And actually, if you'll see here, I'll just tell you, there's more than two applications in this scenario. But we're comparing the source repository for these applications. And we're looking to see what's the difference between them and comparing those desired states. And how do you do promotion with GitOps? You do a commit or open a PR. So that's exactly what we see here. We see a preview of the PR that we are going to run on this environment. Now, why a PR? If you can see here, we have two options. Because I chose to promote to my production environment, and I actually built a policy in place that says no one gets to commit to production automatically. You have to open a PR. But if it was for a less environment, we would enable you to do a commit and automatic promotion. And we get here this lovely, very little preview of the changes between these two environments and what actually is going to happen when I do a promotion. And this is the changes that are going to be applied to my production environment. Now, in membership, in the production environment, we actually have two applications, Membership East and Membership West, and both are going to be updated with this version. That's because I built this environment to encompass more than one Argo CD application. So actually doing a promotion can update two applications, can update 5, 6, 7, 100 applications. So this makes the process of deploying single tenancy or updating multiple environments, regions, very, very easy. Again, with a drag and drop.
Very nice. So chat, let us know, good idea, bad idea. Idan, I have to ask, you're kind of hesitant about promoting this drag and drop capability. What sort of concerns did you have, or what sort of concerns do you have about this sort of capability?
So I think mainly because when we think of GitOps and when we think of CD, we think of automation and less ClickUps, less dragging in the UI, and less manual clicking of buttons. And the holy grail is to just run a commit or trigger an update in your CI and have the CD flow run its course, which is very useful. And that's where most organizations want to be in. But we've heard from a lot of our customers that the QA team want to push changes to their QA environment and validate them and want to be independent in that. So that's why we see people very polar based on this concept. And again, I have to mention, with our RBAC rules, you can lock this down and you can determine I'm promoting only to this environment, the drag and drop, who can do that. And again, we'll show you the correct way to do promotions in a second that doesn't rely on someone dragging and dropping as if it was a Trello ticket. But it is that easy, honestly. Now, I hope that you guys that have looked at this have seen a major flaw in what I just showed you. Because what did I say? I say we compare the dev environment desired state with the production environment desired state and see any changes and do a commit based on these changes. But where's that problematic? It's what happens if I have a database connection string in dev that should stay in dev and should not move to production and destroy my production and get me fired? How do I build out that logic of what gets promoted? And I would say, more importantly, what doesn't get promoted across the environment? So we got you covered, obviously, with this nice intro. I wouldn't set it up with just, yeah, we can't do this. So let me click into my Trio product. And I'm going to click into settings. and to promotion settings. All right. Now, this is where the magic happens. So we have this section here in the promotion settings, which is called promotable properties. Now, what do you see here? Hopefully, it's very clear and easy to understand. But we are monitoring 3 different files in our desired state for this product: the version.yaml, the chart YAML, and the values YAML. And for each of them, we've defined a JSON path that, based on that JSON path, that's only what we promote across environments. And let me show you. Let's add another value here. So I'll click here. We get this very nice representation of my chart.yaml structure. And I can go here and see. So we've got dependencies. The first one is bus log, and I can go click on version. Essentially, what happened, because I just clicked on version, none of its parents, I'm going to add my JSON path is actually a wildcard, and it will give me everything that has the attribute version in it in this hierarchy in my YAML file. And just to confirm that what I selected is what I really want, I'll click on the preview configuration. And what we'll get here, essentially, we'll choose an app at random and show you the values based on this query, this JSON path. So this is what I update right now. And what we get is these 3 values. The dependencies for the 1.46, 135, and 128. Now, essentially, if there's any difference in these values, that's what we're going to commit and nothing else. And again, this is so powerful because this gives you the flexibility to determine what gets promoted across environment and what doesn't get promoted without having to script this out, which is probably what, if you're deploying with Argo CD, is what you have today. You have a very long bash script or GitHub action that does this. Hard to maintain, hard to update. Someone switches teams or gets hired or fired or promoted. The next person in line doesn't really understand what they need to do here. And it's very, very error prone. Now, we have this very, very lovely UI, but again, GitOps, right? So all of this configuration, and by the way, the same goes for how we determine the version. So chart.yaml app.version is actually managed by a CRD. So this is our product CRD, and you can see all the values here. And when I made a change, I don't just save this change in the UI. I actually have to go and commit this change to our configuration repository. So all our changes, all our configuration is stored in Git. It's versioned, it's audited, it's managed by your Git permissions. You can easily roll back configuration changes and Git revert. And it's very, very easy to manage. And everything that we do is based on, it's Kubernetes native. You have a CRD that you can manage. It's not scripted out. It's modeled very nicely, and it's stored in Git in your desired state GitOps repository. So that's very cool. At least I think so, and I hope you guys do.
No, I thought it was cool as well. Actually, I was thinking, just as you were showing that, you still have that diff that shows up when you do a promotion anyway. So you get that double check.
Exactly. And again, I think this is a very readable short YAML. And I'll show you a bit of additional configuration that we can have here and we offer for you. So we talked about what gets promoted and what doesn't get promoted, but how do we manage multiple releases and concurrencies happening simultaneously? What do we do? So we offer you 2 concurrency options here to queue the releases or to terminate the old one or the older one. And we're adding another one, release trains, very, very soon. So we're doing all this logic for you. You don't have to think about this anymore. So that's amazing. And from what we've conversations that I've had over the past week in KubeCon, this is one of those things that are really hard to script and do by yourselves. Managing the concurrency options, managing the queuing. That's not the promotable prop settings. You're probably thinking, yeah, I know how to do a YQ script. I can get that done. But this is where it gets complicated. So again, we handle all the pain for you. Let's talk about the cool stuff here. So promoting from dev to production, or dev to staging, or dev to QA. So those are the 2 environments. How does it look like to promote to multiple environments? So again, a segue into promotion flows. Now, this is how I can promote more than one environment, or actually a chain of environments by the name flow. And You can also assign or associate multiple promotion flows with one product. What does that mean? It's based on different triggers, different commit messages or Git revisions. I can choose to run our trio flow, which might be a gradual release across a few environments, or do a hotfix, which goes from dev to production in case of an emergency. And we give you the flexibility to define multiple flows for each product. All these are usable. I'll show you in a bit. But let's dive into trio flow. And this is it. So I'll just close this drawer here. And what do we have here? So we've got a flow that this is the blueprint of how I'm going to promote this product and any other product that chooses to use this promotion flow. Again, it's reusable across multiple products. You can orchestrate your entire organization or entire services with 1, 2 of these flows. So we've got dev. Dev is going to promote to staging and QA in parallel. So we're updating both environments at the same time. Then we're going to promote to production EU, but only once staging and QA are completed. After EU, we go to Asia and to US. So I've got here a promotion flow for 6 environments. Now, again, as with before, this very, very nice editor. And actually, I'll show you how nice it is. So let's actually discard this and add a new one. And I'll start with, let's recreate that. So I'm going with dev and QA and staging. And you can see how fast I'm actually doing this. So I don't remember the order. Let's go to prod EU. Yeah. And prod EU actually depends on dev and QA. Sorry. Dev and staging. And then we'll go to early adopters. Let's stop with that. So I just did this within 20, 30 seconds. And behind the scenes, we have another CRD. 28 lines of code describe how I'm doing this 4 or 5 environment promotion flow right now. Very, very readable. I've got my steps here. Environment QA depends on dev. Environment prod EU depends on QA and staging. Now, if you dig a little closer, you see the policy is to do a PR. What does that mean? By default, when I promote from non-production environments, I'm going to want to do an automatic promotion. That means I'm going to do a commit. But when I want to promote to a production environment, we default the option here to do a pull request because we believe someone needs to approve this change. We don't want things getting to production by mistake. So this is the action that we run before in order to do the promotion as part of the promotion flow. Now, when I actually want to promote to QA and I'm promoted to QA automatically, how do I determine if QA is healthy? So we obviously look at the application sync status and all the applications being found and the health status of the application. But not only that, you can actually run what we call pre and post-action workflows. This is based on Argo workflows. And this is where I can go and run a smoke test after I deploy to QA. Or I can send or run a soak test before deploying to staging. And the difference between a pre and post action is, as it said, you can run a workflow before we update the environment. So if you want to do a database migration script, run before that, or copy all your images to a different Docker registry, you can do that. Perform the action, do the commit, sync the application, make sure it's healthy. Once it's healthy, we'll run the post-action workflow. Any code that you want there, any test that you want there, it's easy to use. It's Kubernetes native. You can run any container you want and run your tests. And after that has also passed successfully, only then we move into the next environment. So you can build in here your safeguards and checks to do this automatic promotion across environments. Now, not only that, we can actually add hooks. So when I start the release, I'm going to open a ServiceNow change request. And when I'm done with production, so when production succeeds, I will send a Slack notification. And when my release completes successfully, I'll close my ServiceNow change request. So move to implement or close to success. So, and again, this is very, very easy to add these hooks and build out your lifecycle. And last week in KubeCon Europe, I talked to a lot of people. I'm challenging you. Give me a scenario that we can't model with this. give me something that doesn't work, and we'll fix it. But I haven't found anything. This is super flexible, and it's built it is opinionated in the sense that we want you to manage how you orchestrate with a CRD that's committed in a Git resource, but that's how you manage the configuration. How the specific flow that you need is up to you. You might want to go from dev to production. If you're small, you might have 7 environments in the middle. You might need to open a service now, change request, anything that's in your hands. How you validate, how you test, up to you, and it's quite flexible.
Very nice. Just as a reminder to folks, this is live, so if you have any questions here for Idan, feel free to submit them into the chat, and we'll go ahead and make sure we can answer those questions for you. Just making sure we're doing on time. We're going to show some other things as well, but was there anything else in terms of the demo you'd like to highlight?
Yes. So another small piece, because I've been talking to how I model my software delivery and build that, and my life cycle. The last thing, which is a very, very important thing, is how do our developers use this thing? How do they get the value of understanding their promotions? So as a developer, my life was easy back in Jenkins world. I had a very simple pipeline, build, test, deploy. It ended with a green check mark or a red check mark. My platform engineers hated it, but I was happy. With GitOps, my platform engineers are happy. I get to roll back and get to do all these great things, automatic sync, but my developers don't know. If you go back to the Argo CD UI before, this is not a fun place for a developer to be. It is very visual. It's better than running everything in your terminal. But it's complicated. I just want to know if it reached production. Is this application production? Which application production? So going back to our environments view, how do we solve this? I'll go and click into the Trio product and go to the releases page. So every time we run a promotion, we generate a release. And this release shows me if it was successful or failed. So this one failed on Asia. And who executed this, what the version was, what the promotion flow was. I've got all this valuable information here. And if I click into this, I can see my release failed and why it failed here. And I can click on the issues and I can understand what exactly failed here. So the durations, the maximum wait exceeded. And I can click on the logs and see the logs. Unfortunately, we forgot to configure them today. But you can see the workflow logs here, understand everything. And what we do in this page, and this is very interesting, is that we're trying to take every single thing that can go wrong if it's a commit that failed, an application that's in an unhealthy state, Argo rollout that didn't pass its tests, a workflow that failed, and funnel all that information into this page. So from my standpoint, your developers shouldn't go anywhere else. They should live in this page. They should get the answer. Did this deploy to all environments? It went to dev, staging, production, EU, and it failed in production Asia. And it never reached production US. This is actually a very nice example. I get the clear status on each environment. I know what happened. I can see my application state here. I can see that it's still stuck in a sinking state and it's progressing. It didn't actually reach its state. And okay, this is nice, but how do I get here? How do I know to get here? So we obviously, you're probably going to do something like this. So your CI or CD pipeline is going to trigger a git commit that will bump the version and bump the tag. And how do they know if it succeeded or failed? Well, we post status checks. So this failed, the status check, failed to promote to production Asia. The issue that is wrong is here. It's clear. It's easy. Okay, I need to go fix this. Click the details. And I'm in the place that I need to be, and I'm fixing this issue and in my understanding. And as a developer, I should have all the tools that I need to fix this by myself without talking to my platform engineer and asking them, hey, this isn't in production for the past hour. What happened? Help me understand what went wrong. Go fix this, open a ticket, whatever. No, you don't need to do that. Your developers should be able to self-service this platform. We built this for that cause. We want to shift left to them. We want them to manage this. This is how they're doing this. So this is kind of a very important key piece of value and that we wanted to bring. We orchestrating and building your flow. You do it in the setup phase, and you're probably going to do it and gonna have a few months project or 1 month project. Finish it, everything is perfect. But then every day, each developer is going to deploy to your environments, and this becomes the important part. This is the focal point of your life as a platform engineer, getting your developers to deploy, getting to deploy frequently and continuously, and to deliver changes to your production environments, and to make sure that that is done well. And there's when something goes wrong, you can address that. This is what we focused on. And again, going back to where we started, Argo CD doesn't have these capabilities. It's very, very naive. It's an amazing tool, but it isn't built for getting your developer to understand what went wrong. It's built for syncing resources, mainly infrastructure, from a Git, a desired state, to the Kubernetes, which it does perfectly. And that's our engine. But we're building the Ferrari, the Porsche on top of that, so you can kind of drive and enjoy that. I will show the last thing, which is another very, very cool thing. I'm sorry, John. I tend to babble on about my product. But let's go back to my product view. And it's something that we're excited about. And actually, by the way, this view shows me for a specific product, so Chiro, my favorite product, what's the latest state in each environment, what's the version. I can see that clearly. I can compare them. I know what's going on here. I can also see that I have an integration with Argo rollout, so I can actually see that this is a canary deployment. We bumped this version to this version. I can see all my steps in Argo rollouts. So if you're doing progressive delivery, you've got all the information here. But what I want to show you is, again, let's dive into this commit again. And that's what we talked about before, this one that failed the checks. What actually changed here? John, can you tell what were the changes that were done in my application from this commit?
Well, we've got a different app version number, and I can see also the diff here with the different tag being applied. Of course, that's being automatically appended.
Exactly, but yeah. What is in this tag? What did the developer change? I don't know. I need to go and find this tag.
I didn't generate that. Come on.
yeah, you don't know that. So actually, you do know that. And I'm going to click this magic button here that says Git. And what we see here is information tied from your version control system, integrated from your CI. And I can see here that Laurent, our favorite developer, and Kostis, actually implemented load balancing for the trio of my controller microservice. And I can see the PR. And this is not the desired state change. This is the application change that triggered my CI, that triggered the deployment. This is the actual code change. This is the files that changed. So why is this super important? When things break, I know who to talk to. I know who to fire. I know who to ask questions. Kidding. I know the commits that went in this. I can understand, hey, is this the change that broke production or something else? I get the better context. And not only that, we also tie into Jira. So I can see the Jira ticket that the developer worked on, that he then wrote his code, ran the CI, built the artifact, deployed the artifact across multiple environments. So I have an understanding from the beginning at my fingertips. And why is this important? Again, first of all, when your annoying product managers ask you, is this feature in production yet already? You tell them, go look at the dashboard. You don't need to ask me. But more importantly, again, when things go wrong, and mainly on this side of the equation, the production environments, I can go and understand what the changes were. Who should I talk to? And start thinking about how I can revert back to and get back to a healthy state. So, and now I'm done with the demo. There's more to show, but you'll have to just get your hands dirty.
Yeah, I like that feature. It's like Git blame, but it's blame plus, I guess, because you can link to everything, which is awesome. So the takeaways for me, obviously, the big one is centralized dashboard for everything. Love that. Allows you to manage and monitor everything at one place. I love the multi-environment visibility stuff. That stuff's awesome. I don't have to dig through Slack threads anymore. The GitHub checks was the one that I wanted to see the most because I love anything that integrates with my CI. Giving me that visibility and telling me, I can see my promotion status directly inside of those PRs as I do. And then obviously through Argo workflows, the pre and post production, or sorry, the pre and post promotion hooks, which is awesome. That's a really nice way of doing things like approval gates, tests, cleanup, that sort of thing, which is awesome. All right, we have a few questions listed here. So we'll just go ahead and get into them. So Sergey asks, this is all great, but Octopus can do the same thing, isn't it? I guess they're asking, like, what's the difference here?
Yeah, Octopus is amazing, and we took a lot of inspiration from Octopus and does the same. The main difference is that Octopus is not powered by Algo as the deployment engine. For specifically Kubernetes, by the way, Octopus deploys to multiple environments, and it can do Kubernetes, non-Kubernetes, VMs, etc. GitOps Cloud is built specifically for Kubernetes with Argo CD. But we leverage the auto sync capabilities, the GitOps capabilities, the desired state syncing and reconciliation. That's native to how you want to do deployments with Kubernetes. So if you're not ready or not interested in deploying to Kubernetes with Argo CD, Octopus is the way to go. It's a more familiar CD approach and works across various platforms, I'd say. But if you're using Argo CD and you want to do GitOps and want to reap the value of GitOps, where your deployments, one of the main things that's nice. So if you're not using Argo CD, you probably want to you probably need to give your developers access to the cluster, and they'll have to do a kubes control and to see the pods, and if they want to change things, they're God forbid going to change it in the cluster. You don't have any auditing on that. You'd have to give them permission with the GitOps principles, and I'll talk a bit about our certification in a second. Everything is stored in Git, so you know the desired state. You have a full audit trail of changes. You are preventing configuration drift because everything is reconciled and synced. So if someone, by any reason, goes and changes anything in the cluster, God forbid, Argo CD will sync the desired state back from Git and fix that. That's not the way to do it. You want to change it, go to Git and do it and open a PR and get the approvals for that. So I think that's the main difference. And it's a difference in concepts. Again, the whole deploying to multiple environment steps, everything, the views, these are both CD tools, both Octopus and Codefresh. And I would say you've got your Porsche and you've got your Lamborghini. You can decide which is which. Depends on what you choose, but both of them are supercars.
Awesome. Juan asks, applying GitOps thinking to these workflows, is there any way to export these workflows and save them to any SVC to later import them to another Codefresh instance or to have a full backup? This is something that obviously a lot of customers care about, migrating, etc. This is an import-export capability I think that a lot of customers would care about.
Yeah, so one, we talked about, we're GitOps fanatics, right? The product is the CLD, the promotion flow is the CLD. Of course, the workflows are CLD. So John, can I share my screen for a second? We have here our promotion workflows, and these are the workflows that you've seen, and all of them are, well, keep clicking in the wrong screen. And all of them are stored in Git in what we call Git sources. And of course, any change that you do here, you'd have to commit this. Let me go to the edit view and change this, and you can see I have to commit. Now, I have a few errors here, so it won't let me. But yes, everything is stored in Git, all the configuration, and it's synced across multiple Argo CDs. And if you need multiple Codefresh accounts, you can have any number of Argo CDs and any number of Codefresh accounts. Again, look at the same repository with all these workflow templates, and they will be synced. Now, another huge benefit of having all the configuration in Git is disaster recovery. When, for some unknown reason, your cluster crashed and you need to bootstrap a new cluster, just point it to the same repo. Argo CD will go ahead, install Argo CD, point it to the repo. All your resources, everything will be synced right away and deployed, and you don't have to do anything again. So you don't have to redeploy everything, run every script, think about what needs to be in production. No, you should have a desired state of your cluster already set up in Git. You just link to that.
Very nice. Just to remind folks, if you want, you can sign up for a free trial by visiting codefresh.io. There you'll find a page that looks like this. You'll get information about the product itself. We provide some highlights and some capabilities. Earlier, I mentioned Cosis's really nice blog post entitled "Introducing Codefresh GitOps Cloud: Seamless Environment Promotions Across Clusters Using Your Existing Argo CD." It is a very lengthy post. Costas is known for doing very lengthy posts. If you're at all interested in seeing kind of all the ins and outs, the GIFs, the screenshots, etc., the reasons why, the motivations behind the product, etc., check out this blog post. Definitely worth checking out. Another resource we have is our YouTube channel. So we have a playlist listed there for Codefresh by Octopus Deploy features. If you take a look at this this playlist, we have a whole rundown of all the capabilities exposed by this product, etc. You can go ahead and watch these at your leisure. We have a number of other resources as well. I know that, Idan, you and I wanted to talk a little bit about the roadmap. Some folks may not know about this. Is at roadmap.codefresh.io. This gives an idea or understanding of some of the things that we're thinking about, things that are under consideration, things that are planned, things that are released. Do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, so I think the two main things that we're super excited about that are coming up next, and by the way, workflow hooks is in the very late beta stage, so that's why you see it planned here, and I showed it in the demo. But Git-based rollback. How do you do rollbacks in the Argo CD, the GitOps way? So that's coming very soon. It's going to be built around our promotion capabilities, but that's something that we're super excited about. And again, if you please add your comments, add your requests, feedback, what you think here. We love to learn more about what's interesting, what's a pain for you today, and what we can help solve. John, can you jump back to Cosis's blog, because there's a very interesting link there. And if you look at the right, you've got the GitOps certified. So we have a GitOps certification. And we have 3 levels here. And it's an amazing certification. This is detached, I would say, from the Codefresh product. So it's completely core GitOps, Argo CD. You don't need to choose Codefresh. You don't need to use Codefresh to go through this certification. And we encourage you to go and sign up. This will get you paid more money in the future when you're up for your new job. So it's the ROI on this is quite good. And as I said, 50% of clusters, according to our survey, are deployed using Argo CD. You want to get certified on that.
Fantastic. So this is at learning.codefresh.io. You can sign up there and take a course and get certified as part of that. And don't forget, we mentioned the roadmap, which is at roadmap.codefresh.com. And then another resource I want to mention is our community. So if you go to community.codefresh.io, this is where you can ask questions and get answers. This is a forum where you can ask questions. If you're of the forum variety, we know that we have folks who like to ask questions in this format. So community.codefresh.io is the place to be. Finally, another, I guess, question that might come up, obviously, as part of this is I can sign up for a free trial, but what about pricing?
Oh, we didn't talk about pricing. So one of the exciting changes that we recently did, and it's we gave here a huge discount. We had to force our CEO and get it. I said we want this in the hands of the people. We want people to use this. This needs to be affordable. We want your team to as a team lead, swipe your credit card and go and expense it later. So this costs, and you get 5 clusters and up to 200 applications, obviously applications, for $4,170 a year, not a month, a year. And we're excited with this. You also get 3 certifications, limited time offer. So jump on this as soon as you can, but that's worth another $150, again, for you to get paid to earn more in the future. So we're really excited about this. And again, you've got a 45-day trial. And if at any point, you start your trial, you left it, you want to come back, you need more time, contact us, our support. We'll probably be more than happy to extend the trial for you a bit more. But you can go sign up today. And if you need more than the 5 clusters and 200 applications, contact our sales team, contact us, and we'll get you set up with the pricing and correct. And you can see additional packs of 1 cluster or 100 applications is another $1,500 per year. So you can kind of scale that up as you need to.
Fantastic. All right, well, we're at the end of our webinar. I'd like to thank you, Idan, for showing us an awesome demo of GitOps Cloud, which is awesome. And I'd like to thank all of you for your time and attention joining us on today's webinar. This is something that a lot of us have been looking forward to for a long time, and now it's here. So if you want, go check out Codefresh GitOps Cloud by visiting codefresh.io and sign up for a free trial. Idan, any final words before we wrap up?
No, we're super excited about this. We want you to try it out. We want you to use this. We want you to start deploying with Argo CD because we love Argo CD. And I see here there's one last question by Christian. Is promotion based on Argo workflows and Argo CD? So yes, it is. In our roadmap, there's an item about supporting GitHub Actions as well as Argo workflows. If you want that, +1 it, add a comment. It's something that we're looking into adding in the future. But you can also actually, as a kind of a temporary solution, have the workflow just trigger a GitHub action. Not the ideal experience that we built out with workflows, but works. So again, we're excited about this, and send us feedback. Tell us what you love. Tell us what you don't love. We want to hear about it because we want to constantly. When we're talking about constant CD, continuous delivery, we want continuous improvement to our products, and again, to deliver changes quickly.
Fantastic stuff. All right, Idan, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for attending today's webinar. As we always like to end things out, happy deployments, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.